Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, hailing from Cleveland, Ohio, and weighing in tonight at 225 pounds, Jake Paul.
Well, this is it for Jake Paul, the moment of destiny. He spent a lot of years messing around, not facing serious challenges. Tonight he said he wants to prove himself as a real fighter, as a real competitor. He's going to get the opportunity to do that. Jake Paul's messed around with some useless opponents. Mike Tyson, what's he ever done? Anthony Joshua couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Tonight, for the first time, he faces an opponent that is not only bad, not only dangerous, but certainly off the wall. This is going to be a thriller, that's for sure.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, hailing from Gary, Indiana, and weighing in tonight at 151 pounds, the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
We want to talk about a dangerous man. He may have took the world of pop music by storm, but let me tell you, if Michael Jackson didn't go down the musical route, he could have been one of the deadliest fighters in the world. Feared by many. No fighter ever wanted a piece of MJ, and there's a good reason for that. This man could take down a bear with a single strike of his palm. A deadly fighting machine. Jake Paul's going to find out why MJ has been so feared for all these years, dancing his way to the ring, getting a great ovation. Here is Michael Jackson. It's fun and games at the moment, but let me tell you, when that bell rings, the fun and games will certainly end for Jake Paul. And look at that nice new ring attire there for MJ. What a fight this is going to be. Jake Paul wants to prove himself as a real fighter. But if he can't beat Michael Jackson, that reputation may be in tatters, as now Jake Paul trying to choke out the king of pop and go for an early submission win here. Maybe this is a good strategy here by Jake Paul. Keep the man grounded and banish him back to Neverland. And now look at Jake Paul throwing the strikes. Look at that though, nice block by MJ. Left hand, look at MJ go. Beautiful drop kick. Are we going to get to see the moonwalk? Look at that magic in motion. How the hell does he do that thing where he walks backwards? Jake Paul not impressed, but gets nailed with a drop kick. And maybe we're going to get to see it this time. But Jake Paul comes charging in. He's not impressed by the moves of Michael Jackson.
One.
MJ not to the outside now, needs to get back in the ring before the referee gets to the count of 10. Jackson struggling a bit now. Nice block though. And now Jackson throwing hands. Jake Paul thinks of himself as a boxer, but one of the greatest boxers of all time is Michael Jackson. Trained by his brother Tito and Jermaine and the other one. Nonetheless, MJ sends him into the corner, comes charging in, tries a drop kick, finds nothing but Jake Paul's elbow, as Jake Paul now really trying to take down the king of pop. Nice dragon screw. Jake Paul really proving himself here tonight against a deadly and dangerous opponent. The lateral press, the shoulders down, and look at that. The blatant arrogance, lifting MJ's shoulder off the mat as if to say, I can finish this when I want to. But look at MJ now with the sunset flip, the shoulders down, but Jake Paul getting out of that very, very quickly. Nice technical wrestling on display by MJ, reversing that into a hammerlock. Now picks Jake Paul up and drops him with a big belly to back suplex. Now MJ looking to go up top. And look at Jake Paul telling him to bring it. And he certainly did. Beautiful Hurricane Rana off the top rope. And now MJ senses the end may be near for Jake Paul. He's going to look to put the finishing final blow. Can he nail it on him? Can MJ nail it? You're damn right he can. He nails the worm. Jake Paul may be finished. His professional career may be over here. The lateral press, the shoulders down, and Jake Paul somehow managing to escape after being nailed with the most deadly maneuver in the history of professional wrestling, as now Michael Jackson goes up top once again, but takes far too long to do so. Jake Paul getting to him. Now Paul on the top rope, tries to drop kick. MJ getting out of the way, using his speed and agility, and now knocking him down. MJ now comes charging in, plants his face right into the canvas. Now MJ going up top, looking to hit one final decisive blow to end the career of Jake Paul. Beautiful front drop kick. MJ showing you why he's one of the most dangerous competitors in the history of this sport. Now sends Jake Paul into the corner. What's he going for here? Nice monkey flip. MJ a force to be reckoned with in that squared circle. Sends Jake Paul in the corner. What's he going to do? No, he's not going to do it. Oh my God. Jake Paul's fertility has just been sent to Neverland. This one could be over. The lateral press, the shoulders down, and Jake Paul, how the hell did he kick out after that? We won't be conceiving any children in the near future. And look at MJ, he's not happy with the speed of the referee's count there, but don't turn your back on your opponent. Basic stuff. Do not turn your back on your opponent, and Jake Paul punishing MJ for that big mistake here. That could be the mistake that cost him this contest. That could be the mistake that cost him his reputation as being one of the greatest fighters in the history of this planet, as now gets sent for the ride off the ropes. Nice belly-to-belly suplex by Jake Paul, as he seems to be really gaining control now after that big slip-up by MJ, nailing him with strikes. Oh, this could be it. Rear naked choke here. The lights could be fading here for MJ. Jake Paul releasing the hold though, and look at Jake Paul saying, I think he's saying he's going to finish the match. Wait a minute, what's Paul pointing to? Paul distracting Jackson. A thumb to the eye, the dirty bastard. A thumb to the eye. And a German suplex. Oh, come on, not like this. I don't believe this.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Jake Paul.
You may not like the way he did it, but ladies and gentlemen, I think tonight Jake Paul has conclusively proved that he is the most dangerous fighting man in the history of planet Earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, he hails from Cleveland, Ohio, and weighs in tonight at 215 pounds, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul unfairly being given the reputation of a man that is not a dangerous and deadly fighter. Jake Paul wants to prove the world wrong, and that is why tonight he has issued an open challenge to anybody that thinks they're capable of beating him inside that squared circle to come out and try and prove it to the world. Jake Paul said he'll take on anyone, no matter how big or dangerous they are. Literally anyone could come through that curtain here tonight. Very brave thing to do, to issue an open challenge. And in a few short moments we're going to find out who has accepted that challenge of Jake Paul's.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, hailing from England and weighing in tonight at 179 pounds, Mr. B.
We want to talk about dangerous and deadly. Look no further than this man. One of the most skilled martial artists to ever lace up a pair of boots or a pair of brogues. It may look like it's all fun and games, but let me tell you, Mr. Bean, one hell of a brawler back in his day. Set to take the challenge here against Jake Paul. His life could be at risk here, being in the ring with a man at the skill level of Mr. Bean. So two men set to square off now, Mr. Bean and Jake Paul, the dream match that nobody asked for, but you're gonna get it here tonight as Mr. Bean tries to charge in, and look at Jake Paul going right after him, showing no mercy to his opponent, and that's exactly what you've got to do, really stomping on Mr. Bean now. Jake Paul wants to prove he is the greatest fighter of all time, and what a way it would be to prove that, to beat this man. But look at Mr. Bean now, he's fighting back with that Mongolian chop. Nice reversal there by Paul, goes behind, tries a move, look at the reversal by Bean though into a hammerlock. I think Jake Paul a little bit shocked there at the wrestling skills of Mr. Bean. Not going to be plain sailing. Tries the move. Look at that. Another counter by Mr. Bean and winds up that big right hand. Jake Paul takes the timber bunk to the canvas. And what the hell is Mr. Bean doing now? Well, I don't think this is what Jake Paul had in mind when he issued the challenge. He's going to have to deal with it. Mr. Bean making him look foolish. Comes charging him at the clothesline. Bean ducks and now going to work with heavy strikes. One hell of a brawler is Bean. Now sends Jake Paul for the ride off the ropes. Tries a move, but look at Jake Paul. Nice counter. Goes behind and nails him with a German suplex. The fun and games may be over here. And now look at Jake Paul.
Rope break.
Crossface chicken wing shade to the great Bob Backlund. Referee calling for the rope break and Jake Paul refusing. He's using that count to his advantage. Waiting for the 4 count. Mr. Bean getting back to his feet though nonetheless. And look at the reversal again. And now look at Mr. Bean giving Jake Paul a wedgie he'll never forget. My goodness, what a devastating move. Jake Paul not appreciating the antics of Mr. Bean. Tries to punch. Nice block by Bean. A left hand. Look at this. What a fighter he's turned out to be here. Blocking everything that Jake Paul's throwing at him. And now with a double axe handle. Another Mongolian chop. Bean on fire here. And look at these headbutts to the abdomen. Oh, wait a minute. And a deadly combination of rectal gas. Squirted right in the face of Jake Paul. And now what the hell's Mr. Bean doing? Nice leapfrog. Oh, he's not going to fall for that. But look, sticks the hand out. Jake Paul falling for it and gets flipped over. Well, Jake Paul may not be the deadliest fighter in the world. He may be a close number 2 to this man. And now look at Bean with the sunset flip and rolling him round the ring. Trying to disorientate him before he goes for the cover. This could be enough to put Jake Paul away. The shoulders down. Oh, and very, very close there was Bean to getting the cover and proving that he's the most deadly fighter in the world. Tries the clothesline. Oh, nice counter by Jake Paul and a back body drop. Now Jake Paul sends Bean into the corner. Perches him on the top rope. What's he going for here? Beautiful arm drag from the top turnbuckle. And Bean may be done for here. Lateral press, shoulders down, but Mr. Bean, what a fighter this man is. Oh, and a big right left hand by Jake Paul though, knocking him right to the canvas. Gets back to his feet. Jake Paul continuing to work on him with strikes. Goes down again. And the striking skills of Jake Paul on full display. Shouldn't be striking him there though. Certainly not in the rules. As now he tries the Irish whip. Mr. Bean with a nice counter once again. And the third press and right hands right to the face. Bean really doing a number on him now. Now look at this quick roll up. Could be enough to put Jake Paul away and ruin his reputation. No, Jake Paul manages to escape and look at Mr. Bean. He's having a whale of a time in that ring. Ducks the attack as well. Nice drop toe hold. And Bean on fire now. He senses this may be the moment to go in for the kill. This capacity crowd cheering him on as Bean comes off the ropes and drops the big leg. Jake Paul in real trouble. We could have a win here. The leg is hooked, the shoulders down, and my God, Jake Paul was a split second away there from losing this match. Mr. Bean unstoppable, a force to be reckoned with inside that squared circle. Tries picking him up, nice counter by Jake Paul and a shoulder block, and oh, look at this. Removing the protective pad, exposing that steel turnbuckle, and now he's going to try and throw him in, but Mr. Bean managing the reversal, knocks him down. That could have been dangerous, but Bean managing to avert disaster there. Now sends Paul into the corner, using his posterior as a weapon and doing it very effectively. Jake Paul now slumped in the corner and Mr. Bean going to work on him, just kicking him right in the stomach, knocking all of that wind and air right out of the athlete. And what's Mr. Bean got planned here? Well, it may be curtains time here for Jake Paul as Mr. Bean comes off the ropes and drops the Bean elbow. Jake Paul flat on his back, seemingly out. What are you doing, Mr. Bean? Go for the cover. Mr. Bean getting excited, taunting to the crowd, but taking far too long. He should have gone for the pin. What the hell is he playing at? And now Jake Paul throwing him chest first, right into that exposed turnbuckle. And again, Mr. Bean surely had the match won. But he got overexcited there. He took his eye off the ball and didn't go for the cover when he should have. And now gets nailed with a thunderous German suplex. And no, not again, right into that turnbuckle. That killer instinct just wasn't there. It was lacking in Mr. Bean. If it was there, Jake Paul would have surely been defeated. And now look at Paul. Showing off the boxing skills now. And a big right hand, and Bean goes down to the canvas, seemingly motionless. And Jake Paul now hooking the leg. Mr. Bean's shoulders down, and Jake Paul victorious here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Jake Paul.
Well, Mr. Bean lacked that killer instinct, and that's why Jake Paul was the winner here. Tune in next week to see who else will accept his open challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, hailing from Cleveland, Ohio, and weighing in tonight at 215 pounds, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul continues his quest to prove conclusively, once and for all, beyond doubt, that he is the deadliest fighting machine in the history of planet Earth. He's already beat some pretty dangerous opponents on that path. Last week he defeated Mr. Bean. The week before he defeated Michael Jackson. Some of the most dangerous men to ever grace our planet. Once again, Jake Paul this week issuing an open challenge to face a deadly and dangerous opponent. We are yet to find out who it's going to be. So is Jake Paul. The question is, can Jake Paul continue this phenomenal streak?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, hailing from Daytona Beach, Florida, and weighing in tonight at 195 pounds, Bob Ross.
Oh my God, Bob Ross. He may have a calm demeanour on screen, but let me tell you, former Master Sergeant in the US Air Force, Bob Ross, a dangerous man. I don't think he's coming out here to share the joy of painting with Jake Paul. He may be out here to finally defeat Jake Paul, to cause him some serious damage, or as he'd call it, to give Jake Paul a happy little accident. I know that's not when you do a little bit of urine in your pants, ladies and gentlemen. That is when you suffer a serious injury at the hands of a deadly fighting machine that is known as Bob Ross. And listen to this capacity crowd, they can feel it in the air. Tonight may be the night that Jake Paul finds out that he's not the toughest man on the planet. Instead it is this man, and anybody with a hairstyle like Bob Ross can certainly dish out damage. You know, that's just scientific. Now the two men engaging in a Roman Greco knuckle lock, and look at the power advantage of Bob Ross overpowering Jake Paul, and a kick to the gut. Now dropping the fist at the back of the head. Bob Ross has come out here, he's all business. Jake Paul may have bitten off more he can chew with this open challenge. You expect a normal man to come out, but when Bob Ross comes out, even the largest of men wet their trousers in pure fear of this man. As now Bob Ross sends Jake Paul for the ride off the ropes with the Irish whip. But look at that nice reversal by Jake Paul. Goes behind, nails the German suplex. As now Jake Paul wrapping him up, trying to choke the life out of Bob Ross.
Rope break.
I'll tell you what,
One,
Bob Ross, a man that enjoys spending time on the canvas normally, but
3.
that's not a good thing when you're in a professional wrestling match. He needs to try and get to his feet, because at the moment Jake Paul really doing a number on him. Just wearing the man out with these very, very painful submission maneuvers.
2.
I don't care how tough you are, when somebody wears you down on the mat like this, you're not going to be able to dish out as much damage when you do finally get to your feet. Bob Ross finally back up and gets knocked against the ropes by Jake Paul. Now Jake Paul tries a move. Bob Ross with a nice reversal dog turns him around. Elbow to the back of the head by Ross. And look at this move. Beautiful belly to back suplex by the host of Joy of Painting. And Bob Ross now with the arm of Jake Paul trying to snap it like a twig, just slams it into the mat. And now Bob Ross doing a little bit of a submission maneuver of his own with Jake Paul on the mat. Bob Ross, a very accomplished wrestler himself. Tries throwing hands with Paul, gets blocked, a nice drop kick. One thing you might not want to do against this man is trade blows, because Jake Paul, we know he does have boxing skills, that's for sure. Very happy to gloat about the fact he's gained the advantage in this match. Now sends Ross into the corner and comes charging in with a thunderous shoulder block to the midsection, knocking all of the air out of the man. And Bob Ross in a place that he normally loves against the canvas, but as we said, not the place you want to be, inside that ring. And now Jake Paul really kicking the man while he's down, tries to lock in a figure four. Nice reversal by Bob Ross. And look at this by Ross, sidewalk backbreaker. Managing to finally gain a little bit of control here. The question is, what can Bob Ross do from this position? Can he make the most of it and put that decisive blow in to try and finish off Jake Paul? And look at that nice big boot to the face. He may have lost a couple of teeth on that. Now Ross trying to climb the top rope, but Jake Paul knocking him to the outside. And now Paul, my God! Paul diving out of the ring from the top rope to the outside and taking Bob Ross out. A big risk he took there, but it paid off. And now just choking the man. Fighting on the outside of the ring. Referee on the count of 6. Bob Ross is down. Jake Paul coming in. We could have a count-out victory here. Ross needs to get back into the ring if he wants any hope of defeating Jake Paul. Manages to get back in, but Paul straight back on him. Irish whip sends Ross for the right off the ropes, but look at that nice reversal. Bob Ross had that move well scouted, and now Jake Paul may be on the receiving end. Big shoulder block. And now Bob Ross, a man who spent many years in the US Air Force, looking to fly once again and nails a big elbow to the head of Jake Paul. Bob Ross is on fire at the moment. Jake Paul not able to do a lot about this onslaught of moves. Another belly to back suplex. Jake Paul's reputation could be in tatters here. We may be a few short moments away for getting the victory. Look at Bob Ross now picking him up, dropping him face first with the snake eyes across that turnbuckle. Ross may be trying to finish him off, but look at Jake Paul comes behind, roll up, trying to steal a victory here. The shoulders down, and Bob Ross managing to slip out just about in the nick of time. Now tries the Irish whip. Jake Paul putting the brakes on. Been really impressed by Bob Ross, and look at Jake Paul. Well, I thought he was cowering. Jake Paul going to the weakest part of a man's anatomy. Referee should have really disqualified him there. Gaining the advantage with dirty tactics, and now a big right hand to Bob Ross. He cheated, he used the low blow. That was not a happy little accident, that was deliberate. And now Jake Paul with a cover and wins the match. The dirty, dirty sod.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul cheating once again, but in his eyes, he's proved that he's the deadliest fighting machine on the planet today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, hailing from Cleveland, Ohio. He weighs in tonight at 215 pounds, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul again out here for another week for another open challenge, where he'll take on anyone that comes through that curtain with no prior knowledge of who's going to be coming out, in order to prove that he is the most supreme fighting machine to ever grace God's green earth. Jake Paul very confident in his abilities. He's already beat some great wrestlers. Mr. Beam was one of them, Bob Ross as well a few weeks ago, Michael Jackson, some of the toughest men to ever lace up a pair of boots. Who's he going to be facing tonight? That's the question.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, hailing from the metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg continuing his lengthy study into the behaviour of the human species. Many decades this study has been ongoing. Unfortunately for Mark Zuckerberg, there's only one piece of information he's managed to gather in all of those years of research, and that is that the human species do not want to be part of the metaverse, but nonetheless, Zuckerberg accepting the open challenge here. Very unusual situation. Normally the fans would have someone to cheer for. Not quite sure who's going to be the fan favourite in this match. Just hope that both men get injured, but nonetheless, Zuckerberg seems full of confidence here. Playing to the crowd as if he's a fan favourite. They're not giving him a warm reception, but nonetheless, Jake Paul, another open challenge. Mark Zuckerberg has accepted. The question is, can Jake Paul keep this unbelievable run going? Or will he get defeated here by the CEO of Meta? And look at that, Mark Zuckerberg. Cheap shot Zuckerberg, they used to call him. And you can see why. Look at this power. Beautiful power bomb into a cover. My God, Jake Paul's undefeated streak is done. No, it's not. Mark Zuckerberg, look at this. This man has snapped. And Zuckerberg diving through the ropes, my God, like a missile. With no regard for his own personal safety. And this crowd cheering him on. 3. I think Mark Zuckerberg has finally won over 4. The human species here, but Jake Paul with a reversal on the outside. 5. Oh, and look at that. A kick to the ghoulies. A kick to the nether regions. To parts unknown. Zuckerberg was really cleaning his clock there. Jake Paul with a dirty move. He needs to get back in the ring. Referee on the count of 8. Zuckerberg just about beating the count and getting back in there. And now Jake Paul knocking him to the outside again. And what the hell's Paul doing on the top rope? Tries an elbow drop. Crashing right on the floor. Allowing Zuckerberg to ram him right into the steel steps. Mark Zuckerberg has snapped here. It's almost as if he's just forgotten. He doesn't care about what his share price does. He's just lost it. He's got nothing to lose here tonight. He's going to go for it and trying to maybe launch a high-risk move off that barricade. Taking far too long to do so, and Jake Paul knocking him off.
8.
Referee on the count of 8 once again. Jake Paul needs to get back in the ring. My God, very close to losing his undefeated streak there by count out. That wouldn't have been good for Jake Paul, and now a low blow. A lot of people will be wondering about the Anthony Joshua fight, but why would you worry about that when Jake Paul's in the ring with a real opponent here tonight? As now Jake Paul punches Zuckerberg on the top rope. Beautiful arm drag right off the top turnbuckle. What impact with that move. I may not like him personally. I may not like some of his antics and behaviour. He is a phenomenal athlete. Maybe going for that knockout combination there. But look at Zuckerberg. Realising the end may have been near. Coming out fighting with a couple of kicks. Spinning back elbow. And what can Zuckerberg do here to try and look at this power? And drops him with a brainbuster, holding the 215 pounds up in the air. Now Zuckerberg going up top, looking to hit a big move on Jake Paul. Beautiful front drop kick. Paul goes down. Zuckerberg's like a man on fire here. The lateral press, the shoulders down. Oh my God, that was so close. Zuckerberg can't believe it. I thought he had the 3 count there, and he certainly thought as well. But Zuckerberg staying on him. Look at this quick roll up, trying to catch Jake Paul by surprise. Now he's got the man stunned. Oh, and nearly, very, very nearly again. What a showing from Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, but Jake Paul with a reversal, and now Sandbolt suplex. Jake Paul very happy he's managed to avert disaster there, and now look at this, Jake Paul going for that big combination, winding up the big right hand, and boom, right to the face of the CEO of Meta, or Facebook, or whatever it's called. And now the leg is hooked, the shoulders down, and Jake Paul once again victorious, beating another very, very dangerous opponent.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Jake Paul.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jake Paul victorious. He has said he's going to do one more the night of the 26th of December at Boxing Day Brawl, that big event coming up. Jake Paul will be participating in one more open challenge, and he says if he manages to win that, he's going to retire from professional wrestling and declare himself the toughest fighting man in the history of this planet. It could very well happen. We'll have to see who accepts that challenge the night of the 26th.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, hailing from Cleveland, Ohio, and weighing in tonight at 215 pounds, Jake Paul.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen this man compete in a substandard sport, boxing. Who's interested in that? against Anthony Joshua now. I've not actually watched that match, anything could have happened, so who'd have thought he'd have won, lost, had a draw, had a dance contest with his opponent, but who the hell cares? The point is Jake Paul's been on an unbelievable winning streak in the real sport, the toughest sport in the world, professional wrestling. He's been on quite the run, he's beaten some great opponents, Mr. Bean, Bob Ross, Michael Jackson, to just name a few. And Jake Paul says if he wins this open challenge here tonight, he's going to retire from professional wrestling and declare himself the greatest fighter in history. Whoever accepts this challenge may be the only man in control of changing that fate. We're about to find out who's going to accept it here tonight. I'm taking a while to come out. Oh, wait a minute.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, representing the West Side and weighing in tonight at 189 pounds, Tupac Shakur.
One of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time, Tupac Shakur. Finally, a great open challenge here for Jake Paul. There'll be no California love here tonight. I'm sure he's going to hit him up. I don't know that many Tupac songs, so I'm afraid that's where the lines end, ladies and gentlemen, but nonetheless, Tupac Shakur coming out and accepting the final open challenge of Jake Paul. The question is, can Jake Paul keep this unbelievable run going? Or would he be trapped? That's another one, inside that professional wrestling ring. Maybe I know 3 Tupac songs, but nonetheless, the stare down here, Tupac Shakur, Jake Paul, the dream match that everybody has dreamed of, and look at that cheap shot. Tupac not wasting any time here, going right after the not very popular Paul brother. He's faced some great opponents here, but he wasn't prepared for Tupac Shakur to come out. Big right hand, and Jake Paul goes down. Well, Jake Paul may regret the open challenge decision. He should have handpicked an opponent here tonight. There are no knockout clauses in this match. Anything goes inside that ring. And Tupac making the most of it, stomping on the leg of Jake Paul. Oh, now look at this crossface. Crossface applied, but too close to the ropes. Jake Paul's feet in the ropes. Referee making Tupac break the hold. Now going to the top though. Jake Paul gets to his feet. Beautiful double axe handle. Tupac Shakur really dominating here. Jake Paul doesn't look to have a hope in hell. He needs to come up with something, needs to produce something here. Otherwise that big long winning streak is going to end as Tupac comes off the ropes. The 5-knuckle shuffle. Tupac really playing to this capacity crowd and winning in style here. And look at this, the West Side Cutter. The same move he used on Biggie Smalls back in 1992. And now the leg is hooked, the shoulders down, and my God, the streak is over. Tupac, your winner.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Tupac Shakur.
Well, it was a nice winning streak for Jake Paul, but that winning streak has just disintegrated before our very eyes. It's been destroyed at the hands of Tupac. If you want some great created wrestlers in your game, but without going through the lengthy process of creating them yourself, well, I can help you out with that. If you play on PS2 or PS2 emulator, I can create just for you a custom save data file and preload it with up to 30 created wrestlers that you have chosen. If you're interested, send me an email at pastgengamingemail@gmail.com. My email is linked on the main channel page, and I can also do this for the PSP, but on PSP I can only do save files for the European version of the game.